Hello, my name is Listella Scorsi. I'm the Director of Psychological and Mental Health Services, and I will be your guide through today's suicide prevention and risk and threat assessment for risk assessors and administrators session for today. So if you are a school psych, a school social worker, a school counselor, or an administrator, you are in the right place because you are the folks that we want to make sure are trained in these processes. So that your site has a deep bench of folks that are able to respond to crisis. And the more folks you have to work together, the better, because we want to make sure that no single person feels like they're the only one responsible for responding to crisis at a school site. So just wanted to ground us in our network-wide priorities. The content from today is mostly going to fall under scholar wellness and belonging. We are ensuring their safety. We're also going to discuss about awareness and prevention at Alliance, which also falls within the scholar wellness and belonging priority. And then our commitment to anti-racism feeds into every one of these priorities, but we will further discuss how that applies to the work specifically around suicide prevention and intervention. So this slide should look very familiar to you all. Just take a minute to review the norms and just identify one that you're going to focus on in particular as we move through our slides today. Okay, so just a reminder, this slide should also look pretty familiar. So just that we are building a pro-Black and anti-racist alliance in order to improve equitable outcomes for all Black and Brown scholars, ensuring that they graduate college ready and have pride in their racial and cultural and personal identities. When we come to the stats section of this presentation in particular, I invite you to think about how you or how your school team can make sure that we're being culturally responsive, we're being anti-racist, we're being pro-Black and trauma informed when we're considering what kind of preventative, what kind of suicide prevention and suicide awareness interventions we're going to have at our school site. And also just, kind of keeping in mind when we're thinking about risk factors, how that fits in to this goal that we have in building a pro-Black and anti-racist alliance. So let's take a look at our objectives and agenda. So in terms of objectives, by the end of our time together today, the hope is that you've learned about or reacquainted yourselves with suicide prevention and intervention. We'll have reviewed and practiced steps of suicide risk assessment and leave with the knowledge and tools to be able to appropriately respond to suicidal ideation at your school site. We'll review threat assessment steps and discuss similarities when compared to suicide risk assessment. So the bulk of our time is really going to be focused on suicide risk assessment. We will touch on threat assessment, and then there will be more opportunities a little bit later in the school year to delve a little bit deeper into that. And then you're going to leave with the knowledge and tools to be able to inform site staff of when, how, and who to report suicidal ideation and possible threats to. In terms of our agenda, we're going to do some framing, just kind of, and talk about the why it's important that we're trained in this. We're going to get into suicide awareness and prevention and what that's looked like historically at Alliance. And then take a look at risk factors, warning signs, and protective factors, what those could look like. And then just kind of reviewing your role. And what the expectation is, ideally, for your team when it comes to responding to crisis. And then we'll go through suicide assessment and intervention, threat assessment and intervention, and then we will touch on documentation guidance, and then we will preview the debrief session, and then we'll close. Okay, so Again, these are the 5 pillars of the graduate profile. And the pillar that this is most closely aligned to is the wellness seeker. I take care of my emotional, physical, and social well-being. I make healthy choices. I manage stress, and I know how to seek help when I need it. So when we're talking about the awareness and prevention piece, that's where we're hopefully giving our scholars the tools to be this wellness seeker. So that's one way that we are contributing to the graduate profile directly within when we're talking about that within the content of this presentation.